Hello everyone, today I'll be doing a Q&A for reaching 500 subscribers on this channel. I want to thank every one of you for subscribing on this channel and supporting me throughout the years, and therefore I will also be doing a Q&A during this video, and I will talk more about that later on in the video. So let's start off with the first question. How are you? Right now I'm fine, but I'm really tired because I have a really busy semester at school, and balancing that with practicing Skewb is really tiring. How old are you? I turned 25 last month and I'm now in my last year at uni as well. The next question is, when did you start cubing? So my mom taught me how to solve the first two layers of a Rubik's Cube when I was 10 or 11 years old, but I never went further than that until I was 13 or 14. I was in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and then my laptop broke down and I didn't have anything to do, but there was a Rubik's Cube. It was a Rubik's Cube in the hospital, and I was playing around with that, with trying to do the first two layers, practicing this to get faster. When you do that 8 times, you can see that all the edges here stay in the same place, and only there's a 3 cycle of corners. So then I knew that if I just could solve the edges, I would be able to solve the corners by doing many 3 cycles. So then I noticed I could flip edges by taking the pieces out like I did just now, but then sometimes skipping certain slots would result in flipping edges, and I also noticed that doing a soon would cycle 3 edges, and I used those things to solve the cube. But after that I was very much interested in finding solutions to cubes myself, so then I bought some non-double-CA puzzles and figured out how to solve them on my own. And then in like October of 2016, my Rubik's Cube that I used then, the corner piece broke, so now it's a damaged cube. And then I was looking for a new cube to buy, and I was looking on YouTube for a speed cube because I didn't want to get another Rubik's Cube. And then Crazy Bad Cuber on the YouTube channel, he said in one of the videos that if you ever have the opportunity to go to a Rubik's Cube competition, you should take that opportunity. So then I looked on the WCA website and I saw that there was a competition 4 kilometers away from where I lived in February. So I had a couple of months to prepare for that competition. So I was really lucky with that, because if my cube never broke and there hadn't been a competition really close to where I lived, I probably wouldn't have started speed queuing at all. And then next question is, why did you choose queuing as a hobby? So after that I started practicing speed queuing, and I enjoyed it a lot to learn new things to be able to solve the cube faster. And then I kept going, and then the competitions were also fun, the social aspect, and then since then I have never stopped, and it has been more than 7 years now, and I'm still going, which is quite nice. Next question is, do you see yourself cubing for the rest of your life? So right now I'm not sure if I will be doing this for the rest of my life, but for the foreseeable future I will keep doing it. But I might quit competitive speed cube and stop caring about getting good times and be more there for the social aspect and helping organizing the competitions more. At what point do you say you have cubed enough for today? I personally don't have those feelings. For me, it's I cube right until going to bed, and I quit cubing because I have to get in bed early enough. So for me, I don't have that limitation. I just keep cubing until I go to bed, basically. Then the next question is, can you solve all WCA puzzles? So in the beginning I was more of an all-round cuber, so I practiced every event and learned many things in every event, so I can solve every event. I technically also can do 4 and 5 blind. I've never had a success, but I know how to solve it. So if I have my eyes open, I can do a 4 or 5 blind solve, but I can't memorize everything. So I've never had a success in that, but I could do it theoretically. Okay, next. What is the reason you fell in love with Skewb? That's when I was learning NS, I was finding like really cool executions. So for example, for this, I executed like this, or I found for this case, this peanut case, that you can do this really cool finger trick like this. And you don't have those finger tricks in any other event, so that's why I really fell in love with Skewb and decided to do that. So why did I specialize in Skewb? So when I was learning NS, I was really enjoying the finger tricks of Skewb and the way Skewb is solved and all the little aspects of Skewb. And that's why I wanted to practice it more often. And the next question is, when did you realize that you were actually really good at a Skewb solver? So after a couple of months, that was in like May or June of 2017, after a couple of months of practicing Skewb on and off as a side event, I was already getting results at home really close to the national record. So then I noticed that I was already on pace to get, I could theoretically already get the national record, but then that didn't happen for another year. And then in the fall of 2017, I finished full NS, and then I started to get like low, I started averaging low 3 and sub 3, and then I was like, okay, I have really a lot of potential to get really good at Skewb, even on the global level. But it took a really long time to finally get my nerves down and get good results. And the first national record I got was in May of 2018. So I failed for a long time before getting a decent result. What is the proudest moment in your Skewb career? It's probably the fact that I never really gave up on Skewb. A lot of times I failed and I always kept going, and my most significant setback was in August of 2023 when I had a thumb injury and I couldn't really turn the Skewb anymore. Everything hurt when I was writing or brushing my teeth. My thumb would hurt a lot and I would have to wear a brace. And with the brace, the turning of the Skewb was totally different, so I had to relearn how to do every finger trick. And then after doing that for a couple of months at the first Belgian Nationals, I was able to get a 2.25 average, which was really good and was like also NR, so that's my proudest moment probably. Practice a bit of pyraminx. The answer to that is no. Next question. What is your favorite brand of chocolate? I don't really have a favorite brand of chocolate. As long as it's Belgian chocolate, it's fine. I prefer Belgian chocolate over every other chocolate I have tasted. What's your favorite waffle? I know waffles are like a Belgian specialty, but I don't really care that much about waffles, so I don't really have a favorite one. What's the best juice flavor? So I mostly like tropical. What is your favorite video game? So I really enjoy Satisfactory. So that's a game where you are on a planet in space and you have to design factories to create all sort of stuff. And I really enjoyed that one. And then I go a bit too far in the game and try to build really big factories. And then everything takes a really long time. So most of the time I don't really have time to play that game because it would just take way too long to build a big factory in that. I do play some online Catan quite often because those matches only take like 10 to 20 minutes, so I can do that once a day or something. Who are you inspired by, generally speaking? So people that spend their whole life dedicated to a single aspect to be really good in that specific thing, those people motivate me a lot. So for example, Brian Shaw is one of them. Is arguably the greatest strongman of all time, and he's also really kind to everyone. He is always nice, so that person really inspires me, and I have many other persons like that, but that's probably the main one. Did you have who is or was your Skewb inspiration? I didn't really have anyone that I was really looking up when I was starting Skewb, or right now I don't really have any people that really inspired me. What are your mains and goals for Skewb in 2024? So right now I use the Gen Enhanced. I loop the core, the metal pieces, with Traxxas 50K, and then I put on the inner pieces I put Armstrong Gravitas, and I put a bit of 100K, Traxxas 100K in there as well. And on the pieces here I only put tracks as 100k, and then that feeling, it gives like a really stable feeling without making it too slow, so you can still have really fast turning on it while it still stays stable, and that's what I really like in a Skewb. As for my goals, my main goal for this year is to fully implement EG2 and TCLL in my solves, and then at home I would like to average globally 1.3 by the end of the year, and then we will see what happens in competition. I can't really predict what will happen. Getting ER of WR would be nice, but we will see what happens. I just want to get 1.3 at home, and then we will see what happens in competition. What are your goals for Euros? So last Euros I put a lot of pressure on myself and in my head to be able to motivate me. I was already envisioning myself to win Skewb or get a podium. And then when it didn't happen, I was kind of unlucky. During the first solve, I expected I would have more preparation time, so I wasn't fully prepared yet to start my solves when they started bringing the cubes out, so I messed up the first solve. And then on the second one, I was really unlucky because I accidentally put the cube like 1.5 centimeters too far from the timer, and then I stopped the timer with my forearms when picking it up. So then I already had the counting 4.5 and I knew it was over. It was really tough for me to process it, and I felt really devastated from it. And that's why this year my main goal is just to reach finals, and then we will see what happens in the finals. It's only 5 solves, so a lot can happen. Getting 2 small mistakes or 1 big mistake and a couple small mistakes can result in you not getting podium. So I'm just going for finals and seeing what happens. I learned a lot from you, and I hope we can meet at the European Championships. Of course, you can meet me. That also holds for if you want to say something to me at a competition. You can always come up to me. You don't have to be afraid. I personally would prefer you to, when you see me warm up for Skewb, for a round of Skewb, I would prefer you to come say hi to me after the Skewb round, because then I just want to warm up for Skewb. So, and except for those moments, you can always come up to me and say hi. So now I'll be talking about the giveaway I will be doing during this video. So I will be giving you away 2 solve analysis to people. So if you leave a comment in the description of what you average, which methods you use, and what your main weaknesses in your eyes, and like the video, I'm going to select 2 people from that at random, and I will analyze an average of 12 of those people and give them suggestions on how to improve. I might make a video of it, but it will take a lot of time, so I will maybe not do it a video, but who knows. So I will be giving some feedback to those people. What is the most important tip you have for Skewb improvements? So in Skewb, finger tricks are really important, and you have to try to improve at them a lot. So during the layer, for example, you have to be able to do it first efficiently, and also have the finger tricks down. So for example, when you have this layer on white, for example, it's 1 move to this 3 mover, but if you don't execute it properly, you might do something like this. That can be slow, while you can also turn the pickup to the B move like this and insert the layer like that. Those are small things that improve your turning a lot. And then when you also start one looking, you also have to start to think about how to transition from the layer into the alg. That is also really important when you know the algs, is to know how to start them in different ways. So for example, if you have this case, I got this in competition, so I got this insert into here, and then if I would have to rotate like I normally would do this, it would be quite inefficient. But you can also insert like this, and then the first moves like this, and then it just flows really well, and that would save like 0.2 or 0.3 seconds, which is a lot on those kinds of solves. So try to reduce the pauses during transition and during the layer. Try to make everything flow as well as possible. That is really important in a Skewb solve. Um, how did you perfect your finger tricks for your algs, and what is the thought process? So when I see an alg, I always try many different things and see what works best. So for example, when we had this case, at first I was doing like these 3 moves, then do these moves and then insert like this, and that felt kind of slow to do back then. And then I started thinking like, if I pull this but I keep my fingers on here, I can do the B move like this and then it flows better. So then I started pulling it like this, and later on I started noticing I don't have to do the pulling, I can just pull with the left hand. So it's always trying many different things, and then you'll find new ways of executing. Also throughout the years I had a lot of talks with Pratik Kahana about all different finger tricks for Skewb, small optimization. So for years we were always sending things to each other on how to improve small things, and we have totally different turning styles. So we learned a lot from each other because we were sharing things to each other that we would otherwise never come up with, and then we could learn from that. And now I'm doing something similar with Wojtek, and it really helps to be able to talk with other people and get suggestions on finger tricks that you couldn't think of yourself. So that's how I perfect my finger tricks. Okay. I want you to teach first layer finger tricks and walkthrough solves. I can definitely start making those solves, those videos. I've been thinking a lot about making those solves, and I will probably try to do them more often and start collecting some scrambles throughout the process of when I'm doing actually the solve. So that should be quite easy to do as well. Do you intend of uploading any EG2 related content and or videos of longer solving sessions? So for the video about EG2, I will be making a video about that in this summer probably. I first want to get a really good idea of the potential of EG2, when to use it, how often you can use it, how much faster it will be. So I first want to be able to get to know it and have to make an objective video on how good it actually is. So that will probably come this summer, but at the moment I'm not thinking about doing longer solving sessions because I won't be sharing my home results of long averages with anyone apart from a select few people, because I want to I kind of want to keep that private to not put a lot of pressure on myself, because with EG2 and TCLL I will probably be getting like crazy averages, and I don't want anyone to start expecting me to get those results in competition, because it will probably take a really long time before I will eventually start getting those results. So I won't be sharing those things in the near future. When are you going to beat Oscar and Michal? Probably when I start be able to do TCLL and EG2 well in competition, and I will probably beat them. What is your biggest dream? I will answer it Skewb related. So my main dream for Skewb is that I will finally be able to get world record and start pushing Skewb World Record as far down as possible by learning many different methods, was EG and EG2 and TCLL. With those 2 methods, the Skewb World Record can probably be pushed down a lot, and then by maybe adding on some different methods, it can be pushed down even more. So that's my biggest dream, that I get Skewb World Record and be able to push it down and bring it to no other limit. Are you currently developing any new subsets of Skewb? Right now I'm working on learning TCLL and creating TCLL. I'm currently about to finish the pin TCLL, so then I know all the TCLLs that can be solved by a pseudo layer. So most of the TCLLs, 2/3 of the TCLLs already have a solved corner, and then you can hide it here, then do a normal alg, and then undo that setup move, and then you can solve it. And then I'm now working on finishing the algs that can be done by that. There are 360. I'm almost done with that, and after that I will be moving on to starting to learn algs for the bad pseudo solutions. So that's what's coming next. What is actually your process when chaining elk? So I put in the elk, and then I most of the time just put in a move limit of 11, because I don't believe anymore in elks that are 12 moves long. Maybe occasionally they are good, but most of the time I try to stick to 11, and even then when it's 11, I try to avoid those as well. So I'm mainly looking when I do TCL arcs for 7, 8, 9 movers and 10 movers if they are good, and 11 movers only when everything else is bad. And then when I see those elks, I try to find the best elk, and sometimes you get bad elks only, or you get like only a couple short ones and the rest is all bad. And then at that point you have to start inventing new finger tricks to be able to do those shorter um, to be able to do those shorter arcs faster, so that they are usable. And that's how I also find new finger tricks as well. What is your prediction for the future of Skewb? So right now, people, what's your prediction for Skewb for the future? So right now you can still often get away with not one looking and be really good at two looking. So when you're really good at two looking, you can average at home like 2.0, 2.1. That's realistic. But soon, even when you get those averages in competition, it won't be enough to win at the biggest competitions, and that will be happening quite soon. I think by the end of this year, the top 20 maybe will be all sub 2, and getting a sub 2 by not one looking is really difficult. So then it's finally time that you are forced to one look in Skewb, so that will happen quite soon. And then yeah, sub 2 probably like top 20, top 25 will be sub 2 by the end of the year, I think. What do you think the limit for both Skewb World Records are? So at home, like a couple of people already had gotten a low 0.5 single. I have two low 0.5 singles, and some people on down solves already at 0.4, but I don't think we will ever see a 0.4. 0.5 is possible, but I don't think that will happen anytime soon. But I do believe we can see a 0.6 on a good scramble. If someone good gets a good scramble and doesn't mess up, a 0.6 is possible. I probably have like 30 or 40 0.6 singles ever. So I think that is possible. And then for average, I think we can see the world record be pushed down to a 0.3 for sure. And then if a lot of people also start learning EG2 or TCLL, I think we can see the world record get pushed down to like a 1.2 in the next couple of years. And then when eventually I think it will come down to like a 1.1, maybe a 1.0. Sub 1 I doubt will happen. Right now I've never had one, and I don't know anyone who actually already has had a sub 1 average, so I don't think that will happen. I know some people have had a 0.1, so I think that is possible, but not anytime soon. My average is 4.5 seconds. Do you think I should learn Set Advanced? Yes, at this point, like around 4.5 seconds, it's definitely a time you should start learning Set Advanced. And then it will be able to improve after that to average like low 3, for example. Tips for learning Set Advanced method. So Dom has recently created a new video and a PDF for Set Advanced, so I will put a link to that in the description so you can check that out. So first of all, you will have to start with two looking the solution. So it's often for the 4 movers you do a sledge or a hedge, and it's 2 parts, and then you just do those 2 parts separately, and then after a while you should be able to predict which second step you will be doing. So often you have to do sledge Y hedge to U-perm, for example. First it's fine to just do sledge Y hedge. No, you have to do that, and then do the U-perm, but eventually we'll have to know that after that slash Y hedge, you will get a U-perm, so you don't have to pass between that anymore. So that's our 2 steps. But first start with having to loop between them. What is your tip on learning NS in 1 month? So learning NS in 1 month is really tricky. It should be doable. I have learned 120 TCL algs in 1 month before, so I will tell you how I should approach that. So what I would do is every day, I would split it up in 2 days. So every 2 days you learn 8 algs. So the first day you learn all 8, and then you try to memorize those. The next day is you use to review those algs of the previous day, and you also review the algs of the days before, the algs you learned before. So every day you should be focused mainly on the algs of those 2 days, those 8 algs, but you should always revise algs from the previous day. That is really important if you want to make it stick, is that you keep reviewing the algs you have already done. So always do that, and always try to do solves as well, to implement them in solves, because if you stop using those algs, if you do not do solves after that month, enough solves to when the algs stick in your head, they will start fading away. So the only way that you will be able to do that in 1 month is to also do many solves, and after the month do many solves until the algs stick in your mind, because otherwise they will just go away. Then the whole hard part of learning in 1 month will be for nothing, because the algs will just be away. And when should I learn EG2? So when you learn NS, you shouldn't rush learning EG2. You should first try to master NS as much as possible. So you should probably use NS for a couple months at least to get used to that, because for EG2 you also have to work on one looking, because EG2 is only really worth it if you can one look all 3 movers, and otherwise you won't be able to use EG2 a lot. And something else you have to keep in mind is that the fingertricks of EG2 are a lot more advanced than NS. The NS algs are quite easy to execute well. For EG2 you have like a lot of those moves in there, for example, and that is just really hard to learn at the beginning. So don't rush into learning EG2. And then the best order for learning EG2, there isn't really a best order, because EG2 will only be really useful when you know everything. Because if you decide to one look into EG2 and your one looking isn't that good that you can one look something else, if you don't know the case, you will have to two look for an NS, while you could actually try to one look the NS. And so what you could do is you could start with learning the really fast cases, so that when you decide to one look into it, you know the case, it's a good case. You can do it like that, but the order doesn't matter as much as with NS, because EG2 is only really useful when you know everything. I average around 3.3 seconds with NS. How much would one looking improve my average? So one looking will improve it by a lot. It depends how good your recognition for the cases is, of course, but it will probably save you like 0.4 seconds or something, maybe even more. So it will save you a lot of time. But if you're averaging 3.3, it isn't necessarily your first priority, because when you average that, there probably are also some things you can improve on in your turning, like during the layer, increasing your layer efficiency. But when you get to like sub 3, you should really start considering one looking for sure. You can already start with trying to trace 2 movers at that time. But there probably are also some other things you should work on when you average 3. I know almost full NS and some one cases, but I can't get sub 2.5 average. What should I practice or improve? So at that point, you probably should start working on one looking more, and also trying to find out where the time loss is, because it might be possible that your either your layer is really slow, your pickups are slow. So when your pickups are slow, you can maybe even win 0.1 or 0.2 on average. Or if your layers are inefficient, that can also be possible. But one looking should definitely push you to a better average than a 2.5. So that were all the questions for this video. So remember that if you leave a comment in the description, you have a chance to win some self analysis from me.